which happens at least once a year on these little mountain flights. So we couldn't fly, so we took a van to the end of the road and started hiking towards Basa. But the problem with that is the plane would have gotten us 4 days closer, and we were now behind schedule, having missed our flight. So we had to hike at a much harder, faster pace than we'd anticipated, and all of the people in our group, except two of us, it was their first time trekking, and so they were an easy sort of cultural novice trek, and it turned into a baton death march with people
I could just
falling
imagine
off
that.
one
Wow.
at a time.
Okay, so you're talking about 4 days of trekking just to catch up to where you were going to start from. You're starting
Correct.
in Basa. I take it that there's an altitude involved here.
Basa's about 7,000 feet high.
Okay, so you were climbing.
Yeah, although the climb, in terms of the altitude gain from where we started to Basa, is not that significant. Our trek started at 5,000 feet, but we had to go over 2 high passes of 10,000 and 11,000 feet. So, and that can be difficult. But if you're fit and if you're going at your own pace, it's not that difficult. But in our case, we had people who weren't that fit and who were sort of being lashed forward to meet our new timetable, because we all had flights back out of Nepal, so we had to be back in Kathmandu by a certain date. And we really, the only way we were going to be able to meet that schedule is if we trekked 10 to 12 hours every day. And some of the people in the group just, couldn't handle that. But we took a vote before we started, okay, do we want to go ahead and still try to do this or do something else? And it was unanimous. Everyone wanted to try to get to Basa. We were only the third group of what they call white people to ever visit the village. So for them, experiencing us was quite an experience, and for us to experience a village which, other than the school, had been largely untouched by the outside for hundreds of years.
Can you give us a sense of the way that life was before you arrived?
Sure. If you can try to picture a village life in the Middle Ages in Europe, you come pretty close. No running water. Water is drawn by buckets out of a stream, a half an hour walk from the village, so that's your water source. No electricity, no plumbing, no toilets, no vehicles with wheels, not even wheelbarrows or carts. The homes are actually quite lovely. They're either wood frame or stone, hand-cut stone, with thatched wood roofs or blue tin roofs. And the every home has a flower garden, because with no radio, TV, telephones, the sort of favorite pastime and artistic activity is growing flowers and making jewelry out of flowers, leis, necklaces, little pendants, little figures. They make them out of flowers. And they like to sing and dance and get drunk. Every home has a still. It's kind of like back in the Appalachian, West Virginia mountains where, the moonshiners. So every family brews its own beer and its own hard liquor, and they have a lot of celebrations, and they have their little school. So, and life had begun to, in many ways, center around the school, sort of the village life. It had become the center of the village, and that's where they would hold gatherings. And of course, they were very interested in their children getting an education, which none of the older people had.
So you arrived, and then what happened?
We arrived, and I got to a point above the village first, ahead of the rest of the group, and there was a group of about 6 or 7 men standing there with little handmade musical instruments, and they indicated that I should wait for the others to catch up, and they did. And then the village band led us into the village, tooting and thumping on these little handmade instruments. It was all rather atonal, not very melodic, but very, very cheerful,
very
happy.
Heartfelt.
Yeah. And so we kind of marched down, and the villagers had erected a little arch which was covered in flowers, and they painted a sign which said "Welcome" in English. And beyond the arch, every person in the village, 250 or so people, were standing in line holding leis to greet us. And they covered us in flowers. Of course, they were expecting 6 people, and there were only 3 of us. But so we were covered in flowers, and then we spent, probably 2 hours listening to speeches by village elders and teachers and thank yous over and over, and every woman in the village wanted us to try her rakshi, which is their white lightning, and 2 of us figured out that we would just take one little sip. That our 3rd member, Carl, thought it would only be polite to drink each cup, and so he has very little memory of the welcome.
So white lightning would be the local drink. I mean the alcoholic,
yeah.
The hard alcohol.
Yeah, they call it rakshi.
Rakshi.
But yes.
So the language is spoken there is Nepali?
The national language of Nepal is Nepali.
Yeah. But
up in the mountains and out in the villages, the local people have their own language. The 2 languages are not even necessarily close or related. They're completely different. And in Basa, they speak their own language, which is called the Rai language for the Rai people, which is an ethnic group like the Sherpa people. There are over 50 distinct ethnic groups in Nepal, and they all have their own local languages. And so in the schools, by law, every certified school teaches Nepali, and it also teaches English. So the Basa village kids grow up with their own language, and then they learn Nepali and they learn English in the little village school.
You are listening to Philanthro-Trekking with Jeff Rasley. We'll be right back after this message.
Authenticity Radio, where honesty is refreshing, phoniness out of style, and the only thing available on today's menu is the freedom to express who you truly are. Where are you when you find a group of people courageously making choices working on conflict resolution, peace building, and authenticity? You are in a Slade Suitor-inspired workshop. To get a new perspective on how to resolve conflict in any group or organization, business, or family, go to www.AuthenticityRadio.com. Slade Suter Live.
There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people.
Who are these people?
Authenticity Radio. Stimulating and transparent. Real people and real authentic talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get real.
What are you prepared to do?
Guys, I'm bringing the party to you.
Slade Suter Live.
And now we return to Philanthro-Trekking with Jeff Rasley.
So, Jeff, what's going on inside of you when you see all of this and you experience this culture, you experience Basa as it is? Obviously, it's a very transforming experience of struggling so hard to get there and finally arriving, and you arrive. Was this a transforming experience for you?
For the three of us, it was almost overwhelming. The love and enthusiasm that the villagers showed us, their gratitude was really overwhelming. I mean, we had no idea we were going to be met by the village band and be covered in flowers. And yeah, I have photographs on my website which show what happens each time I arrive in Basa, and it's been the same each year, and I've gone back each year since 2008. It's still just overwhelming that 250 people showering you with flowers and thanking you, and then the kids dancing for us, and the older people putting on their traditional garments and dancing for us, and just every family wanting us to visit their homes. Every single family in the village wanted us to come into their home to give us food, to meet every villager on a personal level. So, yeah, it's transformative in that sense. It's kind of awe-inspiring. Awe-inspiring not in the way that when I look at those majestic peaks, which gives you a sense of wonder and awe, but awe-inspiring in the love and kindness of humanity. And Sir Edmund Hillary described the Sherpa people as the strongest and kindest people he had ever known, and that applies to all of the people who live throughout the Himalayas. Not every individual by any means, but the culture of the people is that if you're a visitor to their village, you're not a stranger, you're a guest. And I've seen them take in people, for example, when I was there once, 2 peddlers who had walked all the way from India across the Himalayas with sacks full of little trinkets and household goods that they were selling village to village. They arrived in Basa. A family took them in, and for over a week they lived in this family's home who they didn't know, had never met before. The family provided them food and shelter.
Oh, how neat.
Yeah, and that's their attitude. To them, community comes first, the individual comes second. And just this sense of community is something that we have largely lost here in the West, in Europe, and in the States. We lock our doors. We have security systems. If someone comes to our door, our reaction is not warmth and kindness. Our reaction is fear and suspicion.
And just to get a time fix, we're talking about 2004 at this time frame?
No, the first time I was in Basa was in 2008. So